All right, here's example 1.29 from OpenStax PreCalculus. Um, what I like to do, we're calculating the average rate of change in this problem. I like to refer to this formula here as opposed to what your book uses, which is essentially the same thing, just different notation. I like to think about it as the difference in the outputs of your function divided by the difference in the inputs, both to give you practice with function notation. And also to make it less confusing when you're trying to plug stuff in. So let me refer back to table 1.17. We're asked to find the average rate of change for the price of gasoline from 2007 to 2009. So we got this table up here, but what's kind of confusing about this table is the input to the function. They're using the letter Y to represent. They chose Y, I imagine, because it's for year, standing for year here, but typically you use the letter X as the variable or sometimes T. I think using Y might confuse people, especially if you use one of the formulas like Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So it's important to note that this right here is the input to the function, and then this row here is the output from the function. And it has to be that way, well, I guess for two reasons. Because of the notation they used, this is the thing that goes inside this function C. And also because if you try to define it the other way, think about if you put $2.84 into this machine. The machine wouldn't know what to kick out. Would it kick out 2007 or would it kick out 2010? And that can't happen, right? The important characteristic for a function is that any input cannot have more than one output. At any rate, I'm going to use that function on these two data points. This one here and this one here. Whether I refer to 2007 as x1 or 2009 as x1 is completely up to me. Right, I call one of them x1 and their corresponding output here f of x1. So it's important that I'm consistent, but it doesn't matter whether this is x1 or x2. Anyways, with that being said, let's go down and do the problem. So if I choose to call x1 2007, and again, that's arbitrary, but once I make that decision, it's important that I choose f of x1 to be this $2.84. And then that leaves me with x2 as 2009, and therefore f of x2 would be $2.41. So if those are the decisions I make, then I have 241 minus f of x1, which is 284. And I want to divide that by x2, which is 2009, minus x1, which is 2007. And you do a little bit of math here, you get negative 0.43 over 2. Which equals what, negative 0.215. They rounded it off here because they chose to round it to the nearest cent, but I don't know. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it like this. I think this is a better answer. A couple notes on this answer. I didn't include any units, but this would be in dollars per year. I'm saying it's $0.215 per year. And note that it's a negative number here. So what the negative in this case means that the average rate of change is negative. The price of gas is falling, and that makes sense because in 2007 it was $2.84, but 2 years later it became cheaper. So the price of gas was decreasing. The average rate of change was negative.